From last year to this year, we've increased the amount of out-of-district students by 3, at an average cost of between $75,000 to $125,000, because the needs of the kids are greater than what we can service here in district. For years, we had one Orton Gillingham specialized reading teacher. Last year, we had to train and certify 4 additional teachers to service the needs of kids in the elementary and the middle school, and we probably need more. And the list goes on and on. But the list and things we need to service our kids and make sure they all have what they need is growing greater than what we're getting in revenue from both the state and from the town. So we're going to go through this chart, and I know it's might be a little difficult to read, but these are our budget drivers. And I'm going to start off by saying that what you see is you have actuals in 23, 24, 25, and then budgeted for 26 and 27. So actuals is what we actually spent. Budgeted is what we budgeted for, and more often than not, you spend more than what you budget for because needs increase. Remember, the FY26 budget was approved and established in April of last year. So a lot happens from April of last year to today. So the first thing, if you look at is salaries, and you see our salaries increasing at year over year from 23 to 24 at 3%, 24 to 25 at 5%, 25 to 26 at 6%, and then 26 to 27 at 4%. In terms of FY26, that number is actually going to be a little bit lower as a result of savings that we've had. We've had some unfilled positions. We've had people we've hired at a lower rate. So that number is going to drop about $175,000 to $200,000. But that's what we budgeted. And what we're trying to do is compare apples to apples and not switch between one time we're doing budgeted and next time we're doing actuals or to date. If you look at other salaries, that's a mix of substitute teachers, OT, training, course reimbursement, and that fluctuates from year to year. But as you can see, over the past 4 or 5 years, it's a pretty consistent number. The next big driver is special education. If you look at FY24 to FY25, we had a 24% increase. We jumped from $2.2 million to $2.8 million. And the real tricky part of that, what we budgeted for in FY25 was only $2.3 million. So we planned for a budget with 2.3. As a result of the needs of our students, that was an additional $500,000. That money comes out of one of 2 buckets. It comes out of school choice, or it comes out of circuit breaker. Those are the only 2 pockets, once the budget's been approved, that we have. From 25 to 26, we went from 2.8 to 2.5, but that's what we have budgeted. Currently, we're at about $3 million. And again, just that increase of needs of students, additional outplacements that happen maybe after April 1st. But we went from 2.8 million to 3 million. So again, that extra $500,000 that wasn't budgeted in FY28 as a result of needs had to come from school choice and circuit breaker. And then finally, as you look at FY27, the numbers that you see represented here are basically 99.8% of the original requests from building principals, departments. We haven't redlined this, we haven't gone through this, we haven't eliminated anything. So these are what principals and staff have all asked for. So if you look at this number, we're jumping from what was budgeted last year, 2.5, our actuals at closer to 3 million, to a $3.4 million budget next year in special education. Just for scope, if you just go back 3 years to 24, from FY24 to FY27, you're looking at a $1.2 million increase, all for needs of kids that we're looking at. Our instructional supplies have, again, fluctuated, relatively consistent. Facilities, we're hovering around that $500,000, and What's important to know is what we don't budget for, if something happens in the middle of the school year, comes out of school choice. So a fan breaks, someone needs a printer, a computer breaks. We had, that cold weather on Saturday, and we had the fridge break down. We had to have people come out and look at it. We had overtime for people to come and service it. Things happen. We have 4 massive buildings, and things happen, and you can anticipate some of it, but some of it you just can't. Things just break, and you have to fix it. And then utilities and supplies, you can see where we're at. So that's kind of a snapshot as to our 7 buckets and really where a lot of the funding comes from, or goes to. I'm going to pause right here before we go to the next slide and see if anyone has any questions.
Through the chair. I don't really know the answer to this, but looking at the utilities, the 27 preliminary budget seems kind of high. Is there a particular reason why?
At this point, no. We're going to go through and scrub the numbers. We're anticipating some increases. Again, we're going to go back and take a look at them to see if there is anything to decrease. Inflation is something.
Is it are you concerned about like electricity prices, or like is it that type of drivers, or?
It's more supplies and incidents that might happen. We have over 20 rooftop units up. Something breaks, it can be anywhere from $1,000 to $15,000. I think we're trying to accommodate some of that in this as well. Again, we are going to go through to be sure to kind of scrub that number and make sure that it is a little bit higher than prior years.
And as you're looking at utilities, you do that trend analysis, but you look to see if numbers go up or down. You look to see prices of oil. You look to see prices of. This has been a cold winter, so we're burning more oil.
Our budget right now, the $422,000 for the budget, my anticipation is that's going to land more around $500,000. I'm sorry, the 40. So I
Cold.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Can we go back to the special education piece? Okay, so FY25 to FY26, we actually dipped down a little bit, although you could tell me right now where you actually anticipate that to land.
That's to be closer to $3 million.
Okay, so that's gonna be closer to 3 million.
Correct.
So it's really year over year, somewhat steady increase anticipated. I guess, what is the anticipation, and do we anticipate there's more students with needs? Is it is transportation included in that?
Transportation's funded by the town. So what every sped director has done is they look at the needs of our students and they budget for it. Our numbers go up and down. We could have a move-in. So as you see, we budgeted for 2.5 million. Things happen from that budget to where we are today. Additional needs, kids moving into the district, changes in IEPs. So we have 3.4 budgeted for next year with some variables in there accounting for a couple of changes. If we have 3 kids moving in, that changes. If we have a settlement where you have to place a child out of district, that changes. If we have a child who's in transportation and needs a monitor or needs additional services, that drives that number up. We don't know what's going to happen, as Courtney would say, with her crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen May of next year, right now, with the changes of kids. We could have kids who require a specialized device. We could have a child that moves into the district who needs vision services that we don't do. And for years here in Douglas, that was relatively consistent. We could plan for that. The needs have changed so dramatically, which is why we've seen those spikes of, I don't want to say unanticipated, because it looks like we don't anticipate. We have kids moving in and kids' needs changing, and we have to be able to provide the services for them. That kind of answer your question?
It does, I just can't believe we're at, like, that's such a big hike every year. I mean, I see the pattern and
Mhm.
it obviously is consistent over the last couple of years. It's just, like you said, it sounds like other districts are
It's-
seeing the same need.
It's in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, special ed is outpacing, and especially since the reimbursement rates, right, of what we get reimbursed does not pace with
And the difficulty, and we'll talk about circuit breaker. Circuit breaker is fully funded, 75 or 80%?
It was 75% last year.
So, but is it 80% if it's fully funded?
7.
Yeah, so they won't give us our circuit breaker number as to what they're funding until probably June or July. So we don't want to put in for anticipating 75%
okay.
reimbursement and then only get 60.
Okay,
So as we're planning now, I think we're budgeted for 50% reimbursement.
okay,
So we're being conservative in that number, because if the state comes back at 55, 60, 65, that's a plus. Hopefully they reimburse us at the full rate, but we don't want to put in assuming we're gonna get that full reimbursement, because if we don't, then July or August, we're looking at making cuts. Or we're dipping into school choice to fund it. So we'd rather be conservative now and see what happens. And then the tough thing with circuit breaker is they always fund you in the arrears.
Yeah.
So the funding that we get for next school year is based off of students that we have this year. So if next year, all of a sudden, if we decide this year that 5 more kids are going out of district, we have to fund that, and then in 28, they backfill you,
okay.
right?